All right, good evening. It's 7:01 on January 8th, 2019. Welcome to 2019. We want to wish everybody in the village a happy and prosperous new year. We look forward to seeing you at town meeting day. Is it the Monday following the Tuesday? So it would be
Tuesday.
What?
Tuesday.
I missed the first part, I'm sorry.
town meeting day this year.
It's the third Tuesday.
This is
Always the third Tuesday in
So
March.
I think by my calendar, that's March 18th, 2019 at 7 p.m. It's going to be at the village school. Because of warnings for certain type of issues, if there's anything that you think is going to require a warning, you should contact the clerk immediately because we're going to be putting our report out to print, and anything that needs to go in the report or that would need to be warned in the report for the town meeting would need to be notified the clerk immediately.
It's the 19th. It's the third Tuesday, the 19th, March 19th,
Okay.
at 7:30 in the evening.
All right. The third Tuesday is March 19th, 18th, and it's at 7:30, not 7.
Other than that, you're right on.
Right on.
And if you would, we should have reports available by February so that you have plenty of time to review them before the meeting. Okay, so we're going to try and move quickly through our agenda today. Can we review and approve the minutes from Tuesday, December 11th and Thursday, December 20th, which was a continuation of the December meeting? Any discussion on those? Did everybody receive the meeting minutes? Any discussion or modifications to those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We can do both at once.
Yeah, it's a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Okay. And is there any opposition to approval of those? Hearing none, we'll consider that motion to be passed unanimously. And we'll move on. If we review the warrant and the bills, is there going to be some discussion on that and talk, given that it's, or is it just a regular monthly approval?
I don't have
Okay,
anything.
so let's
that
go
I
ahead and
saw.
do that. We are gonna open bids tonight, so I don't want to hold people up. So let's review the monthly warrant first.
I just have one quick question. So the Sam Gully, so is that the total for his mowing last year?
Yes.
So he just got the bill to us and we just paid it?
Yeah, he said he had submitted it a while ago and hadn't heard anything from it,
So
so
got lost in the shuffle?
he resubmitted it, so I would go through and
Double check it.
make sure that there's not been a check issued to
Can
it.
I tell you, we've had a mail issue?
Well, you can, but I
Um,
don't, as long as we haven't had a check issued.
We
to
have
him,
it.
We have
Double
not
check.
issued. a
It's
check.
on tonight's warrant.
Yes, but we
Yeah.
had not previously.
Right. But we've had several people, I've had several people call, they're local people, they're wondering why we haven't paid our bills, and they've sent another one. And so I spoke to them because one happens to be a contractor who's my neighbor. And it's just unusual for us.
Yep.
And so we're not receiving all mail. Today I received 3 village pieces of mail at the school. And they had P.O. Box 427, and there's this P.O. Box 847. So I know there's been a few issues with that,
Okay.
and I've asked them to just hand deliver them, which they have, and they're on tonight's warrant.
Right, thank you.
So I'm not sure.
But at least in one case, we missed a discount because of it.
A pretty big one. He said we should still take it, but I had not.
Yeah. It's, I feel not right about taking the discount out of terms. Even if it wasn't our fault.
Okay, well, I will trust your discretion on that one. I think it would be proper to pay the full amount. I mean, I think, are you talking about if a bill is paid within a certain time period, then it's less than?
And it wasn't, we're not talking about days, it's a month.
Well, it was early November.
Yeah,
This,
yeah.
and I have
So-
received,
Yeah.
and I still haven't
You
received
still haven't
the
received
December
the other
one or the
Yeah.
November one
So,
from that person.
never was delivered. And I know I personally have trouble getting my mail, so.
I don't know if if it's offered at the lower rate, I think I'm okay taking that, just because it sounds like an honest, it's not even a mistake, it just sounds like if we didn't receive a bill to be paid because of an error, then, I think he's offering the discount if you pay within a certain period of time from when you received the bill. If we didn't receive the bill, I mean, we should know when our bills are coming, regardless of whether we get them or not, but I think, we operate off of a sort of on a cash basis and a paper basis, so when they come in, we pay them out, and if they're not coming in, then that creates a problem for us, so.
And you say you haven't received the one we usually would have?
I haven't received the old ones, but I've received the third. The first
So
one
it's
I
not an issue,
received
it's
was
not,
the
it's not an
third
issue
one
of
that
them
was
putting the
sent.
wrong,
Hmm?
it's not an issue of them
Could be that it's sitting in the wrong box, I mean,
or no, I'm saying that, so if we've gotten subsequent bills, then they're putting the right address on it, is what I was getting at, so.
Oh,
Yeah, I
this
think it's
person
probably-
bills us all the
all the
time,
time,
this
okay.
particular one does.
Yeah.
But I don't wanna focus just on that one. There were several.
So, sure,
Yeah.
okay.
I think this local post office is in a transition,
Mhm.
new leadership.
Mhm.
The only other thing I would point out on this warrant, not to belabor it, but the VLCT passive, that's the entire annual bill. We will get a significant portion of this from the water department, about 10,000 of that. And then if you look at your warrant detail, half of the remainder of that is considered a prepaid, and that will post in the new fiscal year.
Okay, so without adjustments, I didn't hear any adjustments, that we would approve the total warrant of $88,041.18. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
And all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that carries unanimously. Okay, and the payroll? Any questions on the payroll?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the payroll warrant for $8,829.56.
Boudreaux's made the motion, is there a
I will
second?
second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
And I've got copies we can
And
sign.
there's none opposed. And I just would note, thank you to Ms. Rogers for what appears to be quite a bit of work in that billing period, so thank you for that.
No, that was,
Or just a couple.
that was delinquent taxes that had been collected from the prior month.
good.
That's always the big
Well,
one.
that's a bonus too, so
But
thank you.
that's work.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Next item on our agenda is, I think I'd like to move to bid opening at this point. Mr. LeBlanc, can you give us a rundown of what we're
Sure.
that?
What we have tonight is a short highway report. It's winter, it's yucky outside. We're putting in a lot of hours. I'm gonna try to go home and get some sleep for tomorrow. But we have bids, we have 5 bids from different vendors across southern Vermont for a new six-wheeler dump truck that is scheduled to be replaced. We have Jeff Delary here from Delari's, representing his company, and the other vendors didn't send a representative tonight. We're gonna open them, record them, and then hopefully I can get together with Mary and we can go validate each bid to make sure they meet our specs and then award a bid. But we also have this highway mileage certificate that I'm gonna give Laura, make sure you sign it before you leave so she can mail that in. And so,
Okay.
start
so we'll
in
start.
no particular order.
Well, we've got Mr. Delirious bid here. Definitely sealed. And thank you for attending the meeting
Yeah,
tonight,
thank you.
and thanks for giving us a bid. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
So, looks like a truck bid price, including all shipping and handling, at $88,475.
Right, you gotta say,
That's a
did you say
7-year.
who it was from?
Delary.
Delirious.
Oh, okay.
That's includes this, sorry,
Plus the warranty.
these are additions here.
the warranty is listed separate. So it's
Separate.
considered an option.
Option. Okay, so the option 7-year warranty would be $8,500, and the trade-in value for 2011 International Workstar 7500 would be $27,500. And that's dated today's date. And then details on the specifications. So I'll let the board take a look at that.
If you could keep them in their envelopes, it'd be a lot easier for me. When we put it back away and take them.
So it looks like
Is there 2 copies then?
is there 2 from Patriot or are the same?
There is, they have two, they
Oh, I-
service 2 brands.
So this is a 2020 Freightliner. So, again, what says 2020 Freightliner in the front is, 95,056. A maximum year bumper to bumper, doesn't say year, it just says maximum year, $4,916 for that warranty, and a trade-in value for our vehicle of $47,000. That's from Craig Allen at ATG Patriot in Westminster.
I'm just gonna write up these.
Yeah, if he's, you can pass him that way if he's gonna,
Keep them in order.
you taking notes there?
I just did the math on, plus the warranty minus the trade-in.
So this is a 2020 Western Star 4700 SF. That's $100,000, $100,312. And the warranty would be $6,399, and the trade-in value, again, is $47,000, so same from the same company. On the trade-in.
47, so it's
47.
47.
And the warranty for this was 7 years, is that right? But then these don't, they just don't say
Says
the
maximum
year, the
It does
number.
not specify years. It just says price for maximum year, bumper to bumper warranty includes transmission, motor, injectors, and
Is that
electrical.
typically a 7-year, or is that?
I don't know,
We'll have to
that's,
see.
once we go through, we get it clarified.
Because it may not be the same,
Yep.
right?
If each of the vendors was here like Jeff, we could ask.
Right, we could ask them. Kara, did you say this?
Just collect
leave 'em
them all,
here
I'll
now?
take the whole pile here.
This is from Peterbilt of Vermont, which I think is essentially Lucky's, right?
Yes.
That's up in South Royalton. It's, this is for a Peterbilt 2020 model 348. Giving these specifications first, it looks like. Let's see. Here we go. I have the bid sheets. I'm gonna put the bid sheet on front. The bid sheet is $98,494. And $20,000 for the trade-in. And it does not, it does have warranty in here, but it's not easy to,
It looks like this one says it's 5 years, this one.
Yeah, they put it on the
Yeah,
extended
they put it on the
warranty.
extended warranty.
Yeah, because this one, so the Freightliner,
Yep, these two from,
is a 5-year,
yep.
100,000
This is what this
miles.
one says too.
looks like they have quite a few
Options for it.
options, which looks like maybe a 5-year at 4,900. But I'd have to look at, there's a lot of options.
So these two both look like they're a 5-year.
Yeah, 5-year, 100,000 miles.
This is from New England Kenworth, Burlington and Rutland. And that is for KW? Kenworth, okay. Model T470, $99,409. Minus 40, and then 40,000 for the trade. And then there's an attached for one vehicle.
So they probably again got options.
Yeah,
6, 7. Much lower cost for one of this, but then you gotta look at what.
basic, right, yeah. There's a basic 7-year, 200,000 at $2,600, but then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that may be included in the other warranties, like towing is additional, radiator, heater, parts, engine, things like that are additional on top, so that's not really apples to apples.
So is that the last one?
Yep.
So I think we just really need to trust in Norm and Mary to sit down and do that legwork.
We had developed a score spreadsheet, which was very, what's the word for, not generic.
Specific? Specific?
Yes, yeah, very specific, but it was not skewed one way or the other. It was just mathematic. And we'll look at the things that aren't in there, and then we scored it that way. And then we came up to it.
Right, thank you so much. Really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
4 are pretty close though.
Yeah, it looks like a lot is gonna come down to the,
They're all pretty
the
close.
tape and make.
I got them, here's how they
I
rank,
wasn't paying attention, but.
here's how they rank. Just, if you just go this way.
there's a big spread in trade-in.
Yeah, there's a
$20,000.
$20,000.
It's a $20,000 swing between trade-in for a couple of them.
Yeah, here,
Is
just in case you want to. Just scribbling without taking into account the things that aren't there.
Aaron, will you pass this around for signatures, please?
That's number 4. And
I
that
think we
is
just,
the
you know,
highest.
do that, and then
Because it's also gonna come down to, it's all gonna come down to the truck too.
Instead of trading 47,000 also were tires.
Once we score that.
That doesn't seem like the warranty really affected either way. I mean, the spread on the warranty is like a couple thousand.
it's all about what they actually cover, and it's based on the manufacturers.
I just said my.
They have to sign the contract.
Why is there such a
And
difference
we
in
can
Is this-
just make sure that I wrote
It's a
down the
huge-
numbers right to.
Is it just how much they
Is that,
help?
is this for the number of miles of state road that we have to get reimbursed, that
Oh, yeah.
thing?
I think that's
Yeah.
a
They're
ticket.
just playing it on
Yeah,
their side.
that's all for you and the clerk to sign.
What? No, you just didn't give them to me yet, but I didn't want to.
So, that being said,
Okay.
if you have any questions, would anybody like to be involved in when we go through and analyze these?
If you do it when I'm available, I'll be happy to be a part of it if you want somebody. I'm
Okay,
happy to do it.
It won't be tomorrow morning, it'll probably be, maybe Thursday if it works out for Mary.
It would have to, if it's me, it'd be in the afternoon, unless you wanna do it at like 5 in the morning, because I have to work at like from 6:37.
5.
Yeah, so,
We
Just
could do
let
it
us know,
Friday.
send out an email and let us know.
if you want somebody involved, then I'm happy to do it, but it have to be sometime after like 2 o'clock.
Unless you're not working tomorrow.
What's that?
I'm available.
Yeah, unless it snows, but if I'm not working, he is.
You're gonna sit with them in the,
That's
to
right.
go through it.
Let's tentatively plan Thursday for 8 o'clock.
And you know what we could do, we could at least make sure that we do the score sheet. And then I
Yeah.
prefer to review the score sheet with somebody.
Yep. Okay.
There.
All right.
All right, any other,
No, I mean, it's, salt, and I'll look forward to seeing Mary's number just to see where we at. We've used quite a bit, again, these rain events they're worse than big snow events, they're just terrible. I don't know how it is right now, whether it's icy out, I mean, I'll check the roads before I go home. Hopefully it'll stay good enough tonight to get late enough where we can deal with it just
well, I guess two comments that I have would be, one, to thank you for all the work. I know that you worked Christmas and New Year's this year, and so we obviously appreciate that, but from a citizen perspective, I know that even though this is a pain in the butt as far as maintenance goes, as far as safety goes, I know that it's a fairly good winter. I mean, I hope that that doesn't change, but I don't know that anybody's complained or anything about the roads being unsafe or icy or dangerous or anything, and that's, sometimes no matter what you do, the roads can get dangerous. There's a cover on them and it's -10 and there's nothing you can do, but we have been fortunate in that sense, but I know it is a pain maintenance wise, so. Did you wanna talk at all, or is it premature about West Street, or? I think I'd like to just get in general out there, like what we're
Sure,
thinking.
I sent out to the board, in a package that I met with the, Vermont State Engineers, which saves us a little money, and we went out to the, top of West Street, on the further end, almost before it turns back to dirt, right around where they, park for, the McCullough Woods, Mile Round Woods, whatever they wanna call it. And there's been a spring coming out of the road for a couple of years that I know of. I guess, talking to some old timers like Jerry Elwell that's been around the village for a lot of years, they've tested it numerous times, it's not the water main, and it's just a spring. But it's starting to break up the road pretty good. So we brought the state out there being in a crazy, unusual wet year, and it's still becoming that way. It's getting worse. And what they proposed is, basically the solution that I had, they just agreed with me, is to put a ditch to actually cut the bank back on, let's see.
The north side.
On the north side, cut the bank back, put in a ditch, bring it down across, put a pipe across the driveway there, and then run the water out into, there's a little bunch of cattails, kind of a swampy area, and alleviate some of the problem there. And then put a, drainage ditch. Basically, what you do is you box out the center of the road and you throw a pipe and just wrap it with fabric and stone, and the water just leaches to that area and then just works its way out of the road. And that's something that we really should do. It's completely within our right of way to just tackle the project. Speaking with John, and I certainly, we both said at the same time, you know, to go meet with the two landowners that will be affected and get their say in, and hopefully it will be a very smooth transition, like really just about every other project we've done, you know? And just work it out so we can fill it. So that'll be probably our biggest thing. We just got that, and we get some time, we'll go up and bring the tentative blueprint to the landowner and let them look at it for a couple days and give them a chance to make comments, and then we'll do that before a meeting, and if they choose to come here or, you know, have a meeting on the side, and then, so what we would do is that would be one of our projects this summer.
Norm, so the water problem's right here, right? By
No,
the,
I can't see that.
well, this is where where the
Yep.
parking is for the mile.
Right, really where you walk out and the road turns into almost a tunnel.
Yep.
It's right there.
But you're talking about ditching all the way back to,
The second house.
Mark and Sanders and the other house.
Yes.
Is that all then down grade?
Yes,
That's all going this way?
Yeah.
And then it would go into the driveway?
right.
And
If you're gonna establish a ditch line, the road's too narrow there anyways. If you're gonna establish a ditch line, establish a right the whole width and be done with it, and, you know, and then let any of that water that comes out.
So will you need, so that's a ditch, not a drain, this is the drain.
Yes.
What gets done at that crossing?
Culvert there.
A culvert at
At the driveway,
yeah,
it could be a culvert in the driveway.
this one and this one.
No, the top one, it will start on our,
The west.
on the, you know, on
This
the,
side of it,
on the, east side of that driveway.
okay. Right. Yeah, absolutely, sounds like a good project, right, in the
So-
spring.
And there's, in the most infant of discussions, stage, there's also, been some talk about how that, the nature of that section of road anyway, and how, and whether, I think that is a section of road that is probably slated to be repaved at some point in the, you know, not too distant future. And we had discussed whether or not you always, especially in a rural area like that, where it's dirt on the other side, you wanna say, well, is there an option to have it dirt, or would dirt be better there, or whatever, but, so I've sent out just some feelers to the Fund from North Bennington and Park McCall and BCRC, just to see what thoughts about that would be. And it sounds like sort of there would be support for whatever decision we wanted to make with that, but to think about, it probably is more a function of traffic patterns than the sort of rural nature.
How
Because
how close would where you're putting the drain in the road and where it turns to dirt, roughly?
Probably 100 yards.
So it's a fairly significant chunk of.
Even more.
It goes down like where you got, where the
This
turn.
paving goes just up over
Where
the hill.
Jamie Johnson used to live. You know, it's
It's
probably
before
not-
that, right?
Yeah, it's way
It
before.
transitions about between those two properties.
Yeah, after that second property, because that's where we turn around.
Yeah,
So it's right after that, so you're
So you're saying
talking 100 yards.
600-foot ditch, so that's actually 200 yards.
so it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit, pavement. in terms of.
And it's not like there's houses right there.
Well, I was
that are
thinking-
I was just curious how close it was.
You're thinking about,
Maybe the-
Way back.
when you do that, you gotta remember, we don't grade up there. So now we've got a very short section of road, and then you have to time it when Bennington grades their side, and, you know, unless that can be negotiated out, you know, but, I don't see a whole lot of that happening. So,
Yeah, I think in the discussion sort of moving along, it seems like sticking with
What's there?
was there is probably the way to go, especially because there's so much traffic to the entrance to Park McCullough that, especially in the spring and fall, it would just be really bad there, and you'd just be stuck doing a ton of maintenance there for no reason. The one thing that was mentioned though, in passing was, well, you know, that because people are always parking on the shoulder and doing a lot of turning around in that area, that the little parking area right there,
So extending.
Well,
That would be
that wouldn't be a bad idea, again, with the homeowners buying, you have the McCullough property on the other side. You know, if you were up there with the machine, and especially if we try to do a shared project with our neighbors in Shasberry, which is not that far out of the realm, to box that out is not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
that's gonna deal with the land covenant stuff that they have on that side, is whether they can do it, whether they allow it, out, you know, the colors and all that.
Right, and we had to get, because the water main's on that side, so we would run it at least, and ask them, inform them. In our project that we're talking about, it's all on the other side, the hydrants, none of that would be affected. If we, you know, and if the parking goes on that side, the only problem with putting the parking on the side that we're trying to work on is now you have to put in a pipe to get over that. You have to create some other things, and, you know, so I don't know if that's really.
I think just something that was a little more formal, if allowed by those parties, kind of like what the college did at the top of Prospect, which I think's been fantastic, and used a lot, and it keeps the cars off that corner. Might be something to look at. Maybe something can be done completely independent of this project, but maybe before paving was gonna happen.
okay, so thank you for the highway report, and you're free to go if you choose to.
Yep, I
I
choose.
hope you get some sleep.
Alright.
Let's see.
Thanks, Norm.
Thank you. I'll see you at 8 Thursday.
Huh? Thursday? I'll be there.
Any, DRB or planning commission, fire department, water board?
I only know one
Okay. Treasurer's report, please?
Yes.
If you're,
I just have to put this in because
Yep.
I will forget between now and 20 minutes from now. Got that. Let's see, not a whole lot. Well, we will look at the budget either now or at the end of this meeting. Just a couple more questions I have and a new item that Erin emailed to us to look at for budget. So that has to be done today, if we could, please. The only other things that I would report is that before Christmas, a full week before Christmas, the remaining things went to Steve Love for the audit. Thank you, Mark, that material was really helpful. And so I have confirmed with him twice that he doesn't need any other information. But I feel like I don't want to pester and say, okay, so how long? But if you happen to run into them, you could find out what
well, I
the
know I'll
status
be.
is. I know that they're gonna start the water department audit in 2 weeks.
Okay. I know
So
I'll be
I'm
seeing
hoping that
the
maybe
annual
ours is gonna be
chili
done
cook.
while they do that, so.
So once again, they'll be too late for the village annual report.
It takes them a week They'll be done by
Now we're
the end
into
of,
February.
yes, we will not
So-
have that report until probably end of the first week of, if not the second week of February.
So we won't be able to put that in the annual report again.
Well, they'll,
Every year.
right, so
And-
they'll,
And they have to wait until after the end of the year. And so it's just really impossible unless they start an audit January 5th.
do we usually add it as a supplement to the,
Sometimes Ted has taken it in like at the 11th hour, run it in personally to the printer. I think he did that last year.
Yeah, we'll have it back from the printer by then.
yeah, but can we, I mean, we don't wanna add it to every
You can
one
go
that we
next
hand
year.
out, but it could at
At
least,
least a year to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure
Yeah.
why we don't do that, Matt.
just do it for the next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they can certainly put it as you know,
As a
on a
handout,
table, as a
yeah.
handout at the meeting.
And then publish it in the following year?
It's not, they don't have a, it's not available online,
No.
no. But it would be available for inspection if anybody
Right.
wanted to go to the
Sure.
meeting or requested it.
If
or
we had
anything.
a
Okay.
website, we would, but we don't.
It's on demand,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. So if anybody needs the, sounds like
That's.
the water board audit or the water department audit would, or are we talking about fire department or water? department? Water department
yeah.
audit would be the 2018 water department audit will be available in the 2020 report. And if you want it before then, just contact the water board.
And it'll be available at the.
And it'll be available at the meeting.
That said, do they need to provide you with any other written report?
They
It
do,
would be nice.
they do. I don't have their budget or their water department.
Okay, the budget, we
report.
just finished the budget, and that's
And
gonna be
then
finalized
Tuesday.
next Tuesday, yes.
Yeah,
So,
and then I need their report as
They do
well.
another report.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
the budget,
They'll
and that's
know.
separate. They know, they
Okay,
know,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. And then I also wanted to mention that the W-2s and 1099s, I'm gonna pick up those supplies this week, and so that those will be out before the end of January, probably by the end of next week. Those will be out, and the quarterly taxes are all paid, and the annual filings, federal annual filings and state filings are done. The annual federal filings are done, except for the W-2s, but the state, I have to wait for the W-2s.
And then I am waiting for the water department, but I'll do the Department of Employment and Training end of year information as soon as I get that. I do have your stuff though.
Oh,
Mary's right on it, always.
All right, so I think seeing as we don't really have much other business, if we want to move right into that budget, then I think
Okay.
that's pretty much what we have to do. That would be good.
so I sent this out earlier, not in the packet this morning? Yes, but last week. And then there were just a couple of changes and a couple of comments that I had put in there. One thing I had said is that since we like to report 6-month actuals, I actually updated the column that was 6-month actuals so that we could get some of the December expenses in there, shown in there. The other thing that I noticed was that the Lake Perrin, what prompted me with that is I received a check for the aquatic nuisance grant that they had gotten, and then a phone call from the state the day before Christmas, which they eventually got a hold of Matt for that, with any remaining invoices in the calendar year. So there have been a total of $4,206 paid to the provider, Arrowwoods Environmental, that's what it was. And of that $4,206 expended, we have received from the state towards that grant $2,667. So I wanted to list that specifically under the general government section. I don't know of anything else that's going on with that. Certainly nothing that we would have to budget for next year, but if you guys do, then it's there to think about. The other thing that I had noticed is that if you look in the highway section under the gas and oil, going back a couple years ago, if you remember, we split out some of those expenses. We were clumping a bunch of them all together under some $25,000, $30,000, and then we tried to break them out. But clearly, the guess on what we need for gas and oil is not sufficient, was not sufficient last year. We were under budget by almost $5,000, and we've already used through December this year's budget. So I'm just proposing that for the upcoming budget, we increase that to roughly what we actually spent a year ago. Then just to balance that, since you hadn't approved anything at this point, I just took that $4,000 out of the highway maintenance. Since at this point, if I take out the culvert that's going to be, that was grant money, we've actually only spent $20,000 out of that budget so far. Doesn't mean there's not projects coming. By no means am I suggesting that.
Right.
But we either have to overall increase by the 4,000, or seemed like a small enough number just to take it out of there.
Agreed.
There. Then the other thing is, and darn it, I should have asked Norm, under the grant section, I'm trying to keep anything that's grant related separately so that we can see what we expended and what the grant monies were, and then get a total that the village is responsible from there. So we will get grant revenue for that culvert, that $30,000 that was expended for the culvert. I just don't remember. I think it might have been 90%, but I'm not sure.
I think it's 90.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do then is just, because Norm confirmed that that paperwork is in with the state, so you're just gonna see an accrual here of the 90% of that $30,000 offsetting that in here. And then, let's see, down in the payments to other organizations, there was, I wasn't sure whether we were officially waiting for somebody to send Lori a request for the North Bennington Community Development people, or the trustees were just approving that, but that's that new line at the very bottom. And then I wasn't sure whether the Art Fest thing was supposed to go in here, or is it different?
Well,
that would-
generally, since we're talking about that, I think on the warning on the back page, we need to put, first of all, so I don't forget, Lake Perrin has asked for $1,500 for a
$1,500, that has, yes, I
So
did
that
not
needs to
add
go
that
on
in.
the warning, but I mean, you could probably go either way with the $500 for the art park. You can put it on the warning and ask the people ask the resident voters if they'd like to approve that $500, and then everyone would be aware of it.
I think that's the cleanest
Yeah,
way
I
to
do
do
too.
it, and then again, if that's something they're gonna look for annually, that one can be worded that way, and then we can grant it in the future, maybe with, kind of like the Arts Exchange.
That's
for a
kind of
while.
what, yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing with the round table, in my
Yeah.
opinion, should also go on the warning.
Okay, all right, so I'm gonna take that off.
What
of
was
here.
that amount, Mary?
There was discussion at our last meeting to put $1,000
Okay.
there, so I had put $1,000 on that line. But again, not sure, I'm gonna take it off of this line for here for the purpose of this report, and it will go.
Well,
For
I'll
votes.
I'll send the
Yes.
warning out, but
Okay.
it's kind of almost it. I need to get that warning done, so
Yeah.
I'll add those three.
3 or 2? Yes, 3.
Like
So
parent-
they
the
parent,
One-time pairing.
the Art Fest,
um,
the art,
and
and the North
Sculpture
Bennington
and
Round
then-
Table.
An annual request maybe by the art and the round table.
And then the other thing that was different is that I didn't have the Bennington, the BCRC's annual request. That is up significantly from previous years, but I think well justified in their letter, so,
They're from 3 to 5, basically.
yeah. And then I really didn't see anything that was otherwise alarming for where we are with our 6-month expenses.
So, yeah, replug those numbers and then
And send it
send
out.
the revised,
Okay.
revised, and then we'll get a sense of what that.
Okay.
that-
And what I'll do is I'll send the version with the notes on it, and then I'll send you a clean copy so you can see what exactly it'll look like going in the book, in case you have any.
Would you like to approve the budget
Is there-
pending those
Did we already
changes?
talk about the sidewalk reserve? Was there something with the sidewalk reserve that?
There was a $10,000 increase last year made for the sidewalk reserve, but nothing this year. There was just notes that at some point in time, that needs to, you guys have to, somebody made a comment that at some point in time,
Mhm.
we need to think about moving on that.
You mean just,
But if you look at the sidewalk reserve, it had been $3,000, and then last year, there was an additional,
because we are anticipating the big project.
anticipating additional projects. But if you look under, which, it does get a little confusing, I grant you this, how the sidewalk reserve funds were used in the previous fiscal year. We used $10,390 of previously approved sidewalk reserve funds under the regular sidewalk projects. That was the Lower Main Street stuff. Then under the grant section, we used an additional $14,460 of our reserve, which covered everything that the grant did not.
For up here.
Yes, for the
Okay.
Upper Main Street. So the grant projects last year, the sum total of village expenses towards projects that were funded by grants ended up at $1,700. Because the big one was the Upper Main Street, and we used reserve monies for that, and then we used reserve monies for the backhoe.
Okay.
Is there any, would there be any reason to, if we didn't have a big grant year and we didn't do projects, like, I mean, it looks like we only have spent 19,000 so far. Is there any sense in replenishing reserves with our annual, like, maintenance money, or is that not something that people?
Well, there was $35,000 in 17-18 highway line item, highway maintenance funds that were not used. And if you recall, when we did the tax appropriations, we took that and added that back into the current year. So there is a lot of money sitting in the current year to be used towards road repairs.
Right.
Some of which will be used for the project I'm sure that Norm just talked about.
And
As
so-
well as anything
and
else,
the
but-
19 was for the Houghton Street sidewalk?
Yes, that sidewalk, was that, which year was that?
Well, it was this.
Oh, I think we might have bought the grant before. right, so we'll just,
So, but the fact is, at the end of this fiscal year that we're in right now, if we don't use these funds now, I have to look at that, but I think
They go
you
back,
have,
they,
they go back
unless you
towards,
spend
they
it.
go back towards the highway, but you can also reaccrue or rebudget a reserve. That would not be new money.
Right. I mean, what we've done in the past is just try to, you know, I think we're budgeting close to our needs. It's just that the timing sometimes is
The
not right.
timing
So
was,
then we're
the
trying
timing
to,
was off,
try
yeah.
to make the purchases
Right.
in the year to make use of that.
And there were so many water projects that some of the road repairs, they were trying to,
Yeah,
you know, so to say that the repairs weren't necessary or the funds to do these projects weren't necessary, they are. It's just the timing of when they were gonna happen.
and I think our focus as well has been on equipment needs too for a little bit. And making sure we're where we need to be, and so we haven't necessarily focused on maintenance, especially, you know, road and stuff, because we've had a lot of grant
Yeah.
funding and then this Main Street project, so. But I don't wanna get stuck in a position where
we're not lowering that budget.
we've got we're obligated on our equipment because we've got leases to pay, or I mean, you know, financing to pay, but we've reduced our maintenance so that we can't keep up with the maintenance. So I'd like to make sure that we're putting money away if we do get back to a more regular maintenance
Yeah.
schedule, now that we can focus on that because our equipment is in good shape.
As this stands, it will be roughly a 6% increase in dollars over the previous budget, which I hate to even say this, but it could be 3 cents on the mill rate. Just back of the envelope.
So,
And if you wanted to keep that flat, the only thing you can do is reduce
the highway budget.
the highway. And the problem there is a road needs to be fixed, and then you don't have the money to fix it.
Yeah. I think we need to roughly go with that. It's a little high for me, that number, but it reflects a lot of great work that's occurred. With these side, you know, with this.
Well, and we can, I mean, we're trying to set,
Equipment, at least,
we're trying to set our budget, and if it, you know, if we end up in a similar position next year where, with a surplus, then that's when I think we would think about adjusting, because now, you know, with Main Street and the situation it's in, that's good. We've got some sidewalks, we need to do some sidewalks. There are some side roads that need to be paved.
more
so-
importantly, we've got.
And to me, it's
School
never a
Street.
good idea to think too short term.
Right?
Yeah,
And if we're just looking at that number and making decisions based on this year's number,
yeah.
that'll come back to eventually bite you. And I think that's where we found ourselves like 10 years ago,
Mhm.
where we're just getting to where we want to be from there.
And whatever you approve in this budget, although it has some bearing on the next tax rate, it isn't dollar for dollar, because you never know how one year turns out. You never know whether, the big thing that we never budget for
Yeah.
is the sale of equipment.
Right.
So there's a number of things that are planned to offset some expenses, but I don't budget for them because they're not in the books, you know, so.
Well, so I really, I appreciated Mary's in-depth scrutiny of these issues over the last several years now, and I think it's getting easier and easier to just kind of lock it in. We've gone over a few minor adjustments that have to occur this year and the one-time things, and we do need to approve this
Yeah.
as amended. I think what Lori was getting at is, do you wanna do that right now? Approve it with the changes we've discussed, otherwise we're gonna have to meet again, which we can do, briefly, next week sometime.
I don't know what she's at. I don't know what the numbers are. There's no reason why we can't.
Yeah, if somebody wants to make a motion.
I will make a motion to approve, this budget for the 1920 fiscal year, is that?
Mhm.
Yes, the 1920, and I can tell you that the total expenditures, this is not including the items that will be on the warrant, will be 604,761. 604,761.
So 1,000 lower than what we have.
Yes,
on this-
because we're gonna move the
Because we're
round
gonna move it to
table
the other, yeah.
to the other side.
Any second?
I second.
And all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And there's none opposed. Thank you very much to everyone who worked on that budget and worked through that budget. If there's no other business, I guess we'll adjourn with a couple minutes to run home to see the president's address, but I just wanted to say
That's at
that.
9 o'clock.
That's 9.
You
Oh,
got,
okay.
you got an hour. You can have something to eat
Got an
before.
hour. I may need that. I have some very grave concerns about what I expect to hear tonight from the executive branch, and I think that it's really important that we try to, I try to be as understanding as I can be to different perspectives, and I welcome different perspectives, especially at these meetings and in representing a village of a diverse population. But to create your own narrative and create your own facts is very dangerous in a democratic society, and I think that we need to be really, really careful around that and not allow our grievances or our emotions to put us in a position where we're speaking in hyperbolic terms and not using facts to support our arguments. So that's my opinion on where we're going tonight. But
We shall see.
so without any objection, we'll adjourn for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.